We're back with the Cowboys and Coffee podcast. We're here, D. We're ready to rock and roll. Cowboys won, which I guess is really losing these days when you're trying to tank and you can't.
No, 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 no.
Yeah,
We beat our rivals. It's automatic. It's like win a Super Bowl all the time. Come on.
I guess we
Yeah.
actually have a guest here with us, Eliana Pieprz. She's
Yeah.
a PFF analyst. You are in Israel, and you
Yeah.
are, but you've been described by the Washington Post and by WashingtonCommanders.com as a super fan, right? You've hung out with Josh Norman, a bunch of guys. So
Hmm.
thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it, even after we
Thank you. It's
beat
my pleasure.
Yeah.
Washington. So, yeah, give us a rundown about yourself and your fandom for Washington. How'd you become a Washington fan, and where's the team at right now? I guess too.
So my father grew up in DC. I was born in Seattle, so I had a very important decision to make at a young age. Was I going to be a Washington Seattle Seahawks fan, or was I going to be a Washington Redskins fan? And Redskins was the choice. You know, a funny story. When I was like 4 years old, we were playing like horsey ride with my father. So I couldn't say "wait for me Cowboys" because we don't do Cowboys. I said "wait for me Redskins." That was like a word you can't. It was like a curse word. You can't say Cowboys. So I've been a diehard Redskin fan since forever. I moved to Israel when I was 7 years old, and that was a couple years before RG3. And the RG3 season 2012, woke up, stayed up late in the middle of the night watching his. The Thanksgiving game was a big game, and obviously the final week of the season to clinch the division was a huge one. I saw his knee get torn up against Seattle. That was like probably like 3 a.m. or something, very scarring for this little child seeing his knee fully rotate. I then kind of went off of the sports bandwagon. I was like 8 years old, and I was like, all right, my star quarterback got hurt. I was kind of done. And then in 2015, with when Kirk Cousins kind of emerged, that was the last. That was then the time after that the Washington made the playoffs. I was again big on football. I watched just the Seahawks and Legion of Boom. I got really interested in that Super Bowl with the Seahawks and the Patriots. It was like just me alone, awake watching the game, but that's how it was. I was like 10 years old. And then from that 2015 season on, I've watched every single game live that didn't fall on the holiday, basically. The night games are 3:30 a.m. or 7 hours ahead from Eastern. So the night games are 3:30 to 6:30. So I would go and watch like a night game and then get ready for school and go to school. So that would
Wow.
be, and for Washington fans, that sucks if we're usually like losing 38-10, and like that's how I have to start my day. But that's what I did. So big,
Nice.
super big Redskins fan. Last year was a fever dream, and it just seemed like it was a fever dream. Sadly, this year was more of a gut punch. I would kind of say back to reality. We're back to starting three quarterbacks in a year, which is kind of par for the course for us.
Mhm.
But I love football, so at least we have another week of football because in a month I will be feeling the withdrawal symptoms of not having 16 games every Sunday.
I understand. Listen, and it's funny your story of growing up a Cowboys fan.
That's right. It's the opposite. Yeah.
You and your dad would
Yeah.
play Cowboys and
He
Indians.
would be the Indian, and
Uh,
I'd be the cowboy, and he'd be over like trying to get on top of me and stuff. And that's how it started with me with the Cowboys. I could not be a Redskin,
Of course,
of course. So,
naturally.
yes.
So, wow, you've been a Cowboys, or you've been a Redskins Cowboys hater and a
Yeah.
Redskins fan slash Washington football team slash Commanders fan for
all the
uh
names.
some time. Yeah, yeah, we still say Redskins.
Yeah, we
It
say
it
Redskins.
is
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
is. Um,
Yeah.
this last week, Cowboys win 30-23. Washington makes it a much better game in the second half than it was in the
Yeah.
first half, which was surprising. But I think for Washington, it's a big win by losing because they need the draft picks. What we've kind of talked about with Washington, they still are older team and they need to replenish that talent. Bobby Wagner is a Hall of Famer. But if
Absolutely
that's
right.
the guy who's like the linchpin of the defense, there's a lot of talent, and there's guys who haven't stepped up this year that we really thought they could, but Dan Quinn has a lot of work to do on the defensive side of the ball, and then injuries, obviously, offensively, not getting Terry McLaurin in for offseason hurt, and then your star
Mhm.
young quarterback who was probably one of the most exciting players in the NFL last year gets hurt. Thank God it's not as serious as it could have been, but definitely worth shutting him down. So, all right, if you can, run me through a little breakdown of the game, and then we'll kind of look at where Commanders and Cowboys are going for it after that.
So I would say for the game, it was pretty positive for Washington. In the first half, it looked really rough. Our defense is garbage, and we all know that. So the fact that you guys scored 24 points in the first half was not surprising at all. The defense made adjustments. I don't think Dak had a very good game. I'm looking at the stats right now, just over 300 yards passing, and like 85 of those went on that Turpin touchdown. So excluding that, he had just over 200 yards. And this is a really, really, truly awful defense. And you see CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens going against like Antonio Hamilton is our like number 5 quarterback. That should not be happening. Offensively, Bill looked good. And do we have Josh Allen with a third string quarterback? He looked as good as you could hope for a third string QB, but not great. Debo had a couple of explosive plays. Terry was okay, but there wasn't really much to go off of. It's kind of what you would expect. We stayed competitive, which is what you would like to see. There's been other years in the past against Dallas with Ron Rivera teams where late in the season the teams have just fallen apart and there hasn't been any will. So here that was nice to see. On Dallas' side, you guys had twice as many plays as we did, and the fact that we scored 7 points, we were with 7-point margin, I think is I'm pretty happy with. You guys could run the ball at will though, so that's not great on our side. Altogether, it was like we lost, so I'm happy because I'm not a full-on tank. You would say like you get shut out by the Cowboys by 40 points or you beat them. I'd rather beat them. I don't want to be embarrassed. But a competitive game goes back and forth. There's some positives. I'll take the loss and the 7th overall pick.
Yeah, I think right now Washington would have the 7th pick in the draft, and that's before stuff happens this weekend. I know the Giants and Raiders are playing each other in what is basically a tank fest this week. I don't know if you've seen some of the guys they're holding out on both sides. Like, oh, he's sick. Oh, his sister's cousin graduated college. Like they're just thinking of things.
The Giants called me up and wants me to play tight end.
I believe
the Giants
it.
Called me up.
Theo Johnson, they just sat like everybody's like, it is a race to the bottom, and I get it, right? If you're gonna end the season and you're not making the playoffs, would I rather end with 4 wins and the 6th pick, or 6 wins and the 12th pick? Like I think I'm gonna go with 4 wins. If we're gonna tank it out, and Washington still has a lot to add. We'll go back to the draft in a minute, but Dallas in the game, really, I think let their foot off the pedal in the second half. And we're like, well, we're up. We scored 24 points. We'll be able to coast. But this is the second game in a row that they haven't played well in the second half.
Well, again, you're dealing with 3 teams, special teams, that defensive side and offensive side of the ball. When your defense is so bad that you're playing 10 yards off the ball and wide receivers are running through. You had the one run the execution the Commanders did was execute perfect. Everybody was blocked. Fine, give you that. But their defense was so soft that allowed that offense to get back in the game. And then Dak was in one of his moods. Nothing against my wife. I didn't say that type of a mood. Okay. It was one of those moods that he couldn't snap out of it. And guess what? Play after play, let teams hang around. You let teams hang around. And guess it was 2 bad teams playing each other.
Right, which ended up turning into a second half that was more competitive than I guess it should have been.
We're driving. I'm yelling. You want, you at the end, who wins? It makes a difference. But you look at the overall. Let me say 2 things about your quarterback and your head coach. I'm going to stay with the head coach, which I do know a little bit about. He's a man's man. A man's man. From somebody that knows him very well, who idolizes him. So that's a good start right there. You had that foundation will help. And your quarterback is awesome, double awesome.
Right. It's the worst because we like him as a person. Right.
He's got leadership, but there's a foundation there to work off. Debo Samuels, I don't know what you're going to get out of him next year because he's due to get hurt. Your number 17, I loved him coming out of school. There's a couple things there. This draft going to next year, will you win double figures?
And that's going to be it because the Giants are on the come up.
Next year, from this draft, are you going to get double figure wins?
The Eagles are they're not bad, obviously, but I don't think they're as like a shoo-in as they were last year. And they could still win the Super Bowl.
Because we like to jump future sometimes. You see what I'm saying? We like to jump future.
You have to in seasons like this. You gotta look ahead.
Are they going to win? Are they going to go 11-5, 11-6, whatever the numbers are?
Well, I want to stay in this game first and say Washington was still able to run the football Washington still ran the football. I mean, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt ran for 9.5 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns, right? 11 rushes,
Right.
105
Yeah.
yards. They could have just run him all day. Both teams said that they could run the ball at will. There didn't seem to be any like defensive will to stop anything. I was surprised. They would have folded against like Saddam's army in '91. That's how bad they were. They were so
Mhm.
bad. So, I mean, we're at a point where both teams need to address the defense. Dallas, though, I mean, Matt Eberflus should be at a CIA black site. He should never coach football again, ever. He cannot ever coach a football team. He shouldn't coach a Pop Warner football team or high school football team.
It's
It should be a
insane.
crime. I'm going to report him to Interpol if I see him coaching next year at some point. The Cowboys have to move on. The Commanders, and I think there is a stomach. I think now we've heard from Jerry a little more of a stomach to move on. The Commanders, though, their defense needs, I think, an infusion of talent. And I think that's what we're going to like what are you looking at if you're Washington coming to the draft this year, what are you looking at to pick? Are you drafting another weapon to give your young quarterback? You'll be in that top range where someone like a Carnell Tate will be there.
Right.
Or are you going to say, we just much like Dallas, like the defense is so bad and we need an infusion of young talent. That's where we're going to go. Where do you think? Where would you go if you're Commanders? You get to pick your GM this year.
So I kind of look at it now that we have what I think is one of the best, if not the best, young quarterback in the league, and he's on a rookie deal. You have a lot of cap space, which Dallas does not have, for example, because you're paying Dak all this money. So you have a lot more
Matt, you brought it
flexibility,
up.
and you have to decide whether you're going to invest that more on the offensive side or more on the defensive side. I think if you have a quarterback, he can elevate your team like he did last year with Terry McLaurin and De'Ami Brown and Alamane Zaccheaus and a bunch of nobody even knew who their names were, with the exception of
Right.
Terry. We score around 30 points a game. Jaden can elevate a subpar group of pass catchers, kind of similar to what Patrick Mahomes has done over the last few years in Kansas City. But you need a defense. Because if you don't have a defense, all the pressure is going to be on Jaden. You can invest in the offensive line like we did this year with Laramie Tunsil, but if the defense is giving up 7 points every drive, which is what has been happening in Washington, then he's going to feel pressure and he's going to feel like he's going to have to be Superman. So I think the overall kind of smarter team building, don't do what Cincinnati does, which is just Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and all the money on the offense, and we'll just outscore our opponents. That doesn't work. Invest in the defense. Get yourself a top, doesn't have to be top 10, between probably top half defense. So then Jaden scores 30, we win the game. And I don't know exactly what the prospects
That's where we're
are
at.
that I like.
Yeah.
I love Caleb Downs. I'm a huge safety fan. I could go down the list of the draft picks that I wanted Washington to take. And Ron Rivera is one of the worst drafters of all time.
No.
We always say
Horrible.
Ron Rivera is like the
Oh,
NFC version of
really?
Jeff Fisher. Like
Oh,
that you went
so
one
overrated.
deep run at the Super Bowl, and then they were able to coast on
So overrated.
6 to 8
Oh,
wins
Ron
for
Rivera.
years. Like
Yeah,
Ron
we
Rivera
love him.
wasted a lot
We
of
love him
talent.
for you guys. We love him.
Yeah, we make you coach there again.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I went through his last 3 draft picks with Washington. So these are his first round and his second round pick for in his last 3 years. 21, Jamin Davis, linebacker bust.
Bust, huge bust.
Practice
Who?
squad.
Who was he? I
From
mean,
Kentucky, yeah. From
Exactly. And not only is he a bust, he was drafted higher than the consensus thought. Then Sam Cosmi was our second round pick. He's a good player, borderline all pro guard, good on run. He got something right. 22, Jahan Dotson, bust. He's now with Philly. He was also
third receiver,
drafted higher than consensus thought.
Yeah.
Our second round pick was in that year, Sladarian Mathis. He's now, I think, with the Jets or somewhere. Yeah. Horrible. 2023, Emmanuel Forbes, when Christian Gonzalez was right there.
You kidding me? We were berserk. We were like cheering that pick, 165 pounds soaking wet.
With his pads on.
Yeah.
And while we were, I was watching in my head AJ Brown mossing him. When we put in that card, I was like, not going to go well. Horrible. And then our second round pick is Quan Martin, who was okay the first year or two. Absolute trash this year. Can't tackle, can't cover on the Turpin touchdown. He's like, I'll just play the first down. I don't need to run.
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy who runs a 4.3 is running behind me. That's fine. And he just blows right by me. He's just standing at the first down line. But I was on the first down line. That's what they told me to do. There's no logic. There's no thought. He can't tackle for the life of him. He was our second round pick. So out of 6, First round and second round picks for Ron Rivera. Uno is a starter. It's horrible.
Yeah, and to go on Caleb Downs, we've had several episodes where I bang the drum for Caleb Downs as like he
Yeah.
can come in and have this almost Kyle Hamilton
He's
like
going to the
immediate
Redskins.
impact on the. He could be
Oh.
one of the best safeties in football
He's
next
going to the
year.
Redskins, I'm telling you right now.
And I know the positional value for like Caleb Downs and like Jeremiah Love as like safety and running back is not high, but there can be such specifically Caleb Downs. We're talking
He's
about
going
can
to
be
the
such a
Redskins.
difference
I'm
maker.
on the record
Oh,
now.
please, go
Okay,
on.
remember this.
So,
Remember this. I'm telling you,
so
he's going to. They're not going to pass on him, and the 5 teams in front of him's not picking him.
Yeah, but
6. I'm
you
telling
listen, you can basically just close your eyes and throw a dart at the board at any Ohio State defender this year. Arvell Reese, like just pick one and you'll have an impact player. That's how good they are.
you.
But Caleb Downs, as I've been saying, if the Cowboys came away out of the first round with Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Love, and there's low value there, I don't care. The boys are nasty. I do not care.
Yeah,
Like
he's
that.
not going out of top 10. There's no way.
But my only thing is safeties don't have high draft positional value. So
He
if
does.
Washington goes for a D end at 7 overall, I could see that they could use a D end. They could use linebackers. Linebackers don't have a lot of great positional value either, but they have guys
You're
who
going to go to the Redskins. You're going to be wearing that whatever colors they with the W. I don't know what the W means.
Washington.
Yeah, I don't know what it means.
a win.
House.
We haven't gotten any of those this year.
Which we understand. We understand. Dallas and Washington are both in that same place where like if your defense could be 16th, 13th in the NFL, these are going to be very difficult teams when healthy, right? Washington, obviously, injuries have killed their season, but Jaden Daniels is, in my opinion, a top 10 quarterback when healthy. And you can imagine what a team could do. The problem with the NFL offseason, as of right now, the free agency pool is not good. It's not a great. The number one wide receiver free agent is going to be like Alec Pierce. You're like from the Colts. You're like, oh boy, it is not a good free agency this year at all. There's a lot of older players, but Washington doesn't need older
Who
players.
knows? Maybe George Pickens.
George Pickens is right. You can imagine what George Pickens is going to make, but for what our thought is, he'll be franchise tagged in the workout. Probably a 3-year deal with George Pickens. That way, by like 28 years old, he'll be hitting the market again, and that capitalizes on Dallas 2 years really. That's their window, 26, 27. Then it's time to chew through the roster and redo everything.
So let me just throw this out there. Suppose your coordinator wants to go back to college. Oops.
Cliff?
Yeah, suppose he wants to go back to college. They're opening.
So, okay, a lot of people have mixed feelings on Cliff because Cliff did a really good job with last year. But this year, people seem to feel like he's much more predictable, which does happen in his offense.
Money. He's going to go where the money is.
So where is he going to go? Michigan just got their head coach, right?
They
Would
go where
you
the
be
money-
upset if Cliff left after this year to go say, take a college job?
I bet you won't. You'll say no. You'll be upset? No.
I would be. I think if you look at the injuries that this Washington team has had, when we played you guys in, was that week 7 or week 8, we did not have these, all the athletes in the NFL are amazing. They're much better than I, but we did not have a starting caliber receiver on the roster. We didn't have our top 3 receivers.
Right.
We had Chris Moore and Robbie Chosen starting for us at wide receiver. Tell me who in the NFL is getting an explosive offense out of that?
Robbie Chosen, I can't believe he's still an NFL roster. I can't. Whatever name he has, Anderson, Chosen, Robbie Chosen.
At the mall last year.
There's no way he should be an NFL roster.
We were just completely just destroyed by injuries, especially for Washington at what is just important positions in the NFL. The most important positions are obviously going to be quarterback, wide receiver, edge, tackle, which, okay, maybe Washington wasn't really injured at tackle until like a week ago, but that doesn't matter. Cornerback, we lost both of our starting corners for the full year. We are missing 3 of our top 4 edge rushers, not only for the full year. 2 of them got injured at week 3 or earlier, and the other one got hurt in like week 7. We don't have edges. We don't have corners. Receivers, we're just going. Terry's down 1 week, Noah Brown down the other. Debo on, off. Now we have Ertz out. Like our whole team just. Obviously, Jaden Daniels missing half the season. Like it's bad, and Cliff. Not all of his games looked good. The Minnesota game was truly, truly awful when we got shut out, and there was a lot of bad play calls. But when you're put in a position, whether it's throughout all of the summer, whether it was training camp when Terry's holding out and Noah Brown's injured, somehow also in training camp he's injured, we didn't have an offense to practice with, and then the injuries carried over to the season. And I don't think, okay, you can blame it, but I think it is realistic that the outcome would be this way. So whether in a perfect world
It's a
we would
big
love it
factor,
first
yes.
better, but I think this is as realistic as it could be. And I think Cliff is going to want to stay with Jaden Daniels. You're not really going to find a better option out there.
Right.
And even if he has maybe, but even if he has a year similar to this year, even without the injuries, I still think the college team is going to be knocking down the door. Maybe less so in the NFL, but if he wants an NFL head coaching job, it'll probably be another year in Washington and showing out with JD.
Right, and actually, he makes $7.5 million a year
And you make
as an
more
offensive
money.
coordinator. No, you can't.
Thank you, Arizona.
Where's he gonna go? Where's he gonna go making more than $7.5 million in
I'm telling
college?
you, he
There's
can
like
make
3
more.
coaches that make it in
He
college.
can make more.
No.
What did he make when he left? Whatchamacallit? What did Arizona pay him? Was he making 10 million?
Yeah, but
He was making 10 million,
to
right?
go pro,
To go pro,
sure.
that's what I'm saying.
But there's
That-
only like
that is
3
where-
coaches right now who make that in college football.
I just put it out there. I didn't
Put
guarantee
it back. Don't put
it.
it out
Did
there.
I guarantee it? Did I guarantee
He's
it?
not going anywhere.
I'm going to guarantee he's
Right,
leaving.
I think you're right.
I'm going to guarantee.
You're leaving one of the best young quarterbacks in the pro game, and if you want to succeed or you want to take the next step, wouldn't you want it to be off of a year where you are successful? Like if he was, to me, he was going to leave, would have been last year, where he showed that he was successful again. And again, he's making $7.5 million. If he was making 2,
that is from Arizona. When Arizona cut him a couple years
Listen.
ago, it's still on his contract with Arizona. So I think your father's right. This year, it's the first year where he's not getting paid by Arizona anymore. Not getting paid quite as much, but is that a difference maker?
Okay, so I just threw that out there. He leaves, and guess what happens? Your quarterback, who was another guy who was awesome, another coordinator, another struggle, another coordinator, and I'm going to throw it out there again. Are you 11-6 next year? Are you 10-7 next year? You have to be double figures. Let me just throw a little emotion into it. But anyways, let's move on.
I think for everybody in the NFC East, next year is going to be vitally important for all 4 teams. And I think they're all at a crossroads next year because Philly is starting to feel their age a little more. The offensive line isn't as elite as it was. Where's A.J. Brown next year? What's Jalen Hurts do the rest of this year? Because the eyes are on him. Saquon's a year older, and I think he's lost half a step already. He doesn't have the explosiveness he had last year. How could you with 2,000 yards and all the other things, right? I get that. The Cowboys have a lot of work to do on the defense, and if they don't if they're not in the playoffs next year, the team needs to be blown up. It's a disaster that they can't figure it out. If you assume Pickens is back, you can even re-sign Javonte Williams to a similar contract, right? You add through the draft. Now the Giants have Jackson Dart. You've got a young receiver. You've got Malik Neighbors. You've got a running back who may or may not be able to be functioning at 30 years old.
And they're going to have a top 2 or 3 pick.
Correct. Ideal for them is number 1 overall, and you trade back out of that pick for someone else to come get Mendoza or something and get whatever. And then you have the Commanders who looking to rebound after a tough year, right? Your division champ or not division champs, but you're in the playoffs last year. 11 wins last year?
12
win team
I don't
last
understand
year.
how that happened, but it happened.
Right.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's see what happens next year.
12 wins.
But anyways, can I have one more? I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How many total players have played for the Commanders and the Cowboys? How many total since 1960 to now? Give me a number, baby. I got the number. I have the number right here for you. Give me the number. Come on.
It's got to be a lot.
Woo!
What year? 1960.
From 1960 to right up to last year.
I'm gonna go with 72.
What?
I just get it. How many?
Impressive. 79.
How much?
Wow.
I'm impressed.
Wow.
Okay.
High five, girl. High five, girl.
Yeah.
Wow. Impressive. You can't be.
Traitors to their
I'm
family.
gonna brag. I've been bragging about you anyways before you came on to some other my coworkers, some lady teachers, how awesome you are. But now I'm gonna have to go around to the brothers.
Yeah.
His 3 brothers. I'm gonna have to say this girl knows this. 79.
Wow.
79. Crazy.
Wow.
I didn't want to even get to be honest with you. I thought it'd be 10 to 15.
No way.
Dante Fowler just signed. We got
Durant's
one of your
Armstrong.
10 to
right?
15.
Armstrong. We had so many Dallas players because Dan Quinn just came.
Right.
Who else? We had a couple of others. Biotish, our center. That's
Right. We
already
know
3. Is
Biotish.
currently on the roster.
Mr. Whiff.
And for sure in the past week.
Yeah, it is 79. You had
Right.
Calvin Hill and Dwayne Thomas were iconic running backs for the Cowboys. They went over there. It was unbelievable. Yeah, there's a bunch of. I was shocked. There's no way. I thought it was 15, 20, but not 79. My wife told me 79.
No Igbenogany.
And I said,
there
what?
now.
Right?
79? Crazy. Gene Fugert. Gene Fugert, you don't know her, obviously know him. He was a prototype tight end that was smooth as butter. Oh, boy. And he got hurt with the Redskins. He was with the Cowboys. We had too many tight ends. We had to get rid of him.
Jason Hatcher went over after big years.
We bet Hatcher, right?
Yeah, he made big money. He took big money over there.
Yeah, Hatcher,
Man, they had a bunch of D tackle signings over there, like Albert Hainsworth, not from the Cowboys, but like just a disaster. That's one of the worst free agent signings ever, right? I mean, that's up there.
So bad.
Yeah,
but
Gerard.
What was the?
I love Josh. I love Josh Norman, but his signing wasn't great.
Oh yeah, that was.
Oh man,
that was.
It was a really good year. His first year, he was really solid. Second year, it wasn't good. And then by the third year,
well, when he got the money, and this is what happens to some of these athletes now, it's more and more each time. Once that guaranteed money has locked in now, it's not the same passion they come back with.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Debo is a free agent this year.
He is.
So what's the plan? Yes, you have the cap space, and Dallas with a few moves could be, $60 million under the cap. No one's ever in cap hell anymore unless just
that's
things,
right?
You can make those maneuvers quick, but
in Philly, no matter what, will never be in cap hell.
Yeah, I hate it, and I hate them honestly, and the whole city of Philadelphia as a whole is a pariah. So like you bringing back Deebo Samuel, and if you are, he's not a spring chicken. He'll be 30 starting next year. What are you paying Deebo for not prime Debo, and will he take it to come back?
Let me just finish this real quick. He looks like me running routes. Okay.
But he can truck people's helmets off.
Okay, he looks like me running.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. Go ahead.
He has been as good as we could have expected. He had a bad year last year, and we're kind of hoping whether he's going to bounce back or not. As you said, he's turning 30, so this is his age 29 season, and he has bounced back. So I have been happy, but I would not want to give him a long-term deal, even if it's just a 2-year deal, because I don't want to be. I love Terry, and I'm happy we gave Terry the money, but I don't want to be investing $25+ million to 2 30+-year-old receivers. So there's a lot of talk about Brandon Ayuk for Washington because Ayuk and Jaden Daniels were college buddies. They talk on the phone all the time.
And he's leaving town. He's out, right? He's on a contender, and they're basically like, get out. You got to do
your homework on him. There's some character issues, big time. But he might have major other problems.
But if you can be on a team that's in the playoffs and still be such a pariah that they're like, we don't care how talented you are or your contract, get out. That's a great.
They're so injured at receiver. They need him. Pearsall's injured all the time.
Right.
Juan Jennings is in and out of the lineup, but they need him, and
they're still like, no thanks. Yeah,
so
the wide receiver.
I would trust Adam Peters. Adam Peters was the assistant GM when they drafted Ayuk, and with Jaden. So I would trust them if they do sign him or don't sign him. I'm not going to be like throwing a fit because I will trust them at the end of the day. I would be up for it because he's like 27 years old. Washington needs young talent, as I mentioned before with Ron Rivera. The reason why we have the oldest roster in the NFL is because we don't have young players. We don't have any good young players, which is also why we're at this position, because when we got our first layer, our starters got injured, we had no depth. So it just all kind of fell apart. So if we can get a 27-year-old in a incentive-laden deal, we'll give you $15 million base salary and you can work up to $22, $23 million. I don't think teams are going to be breaking down the door for him with all of his character questions.
Right.
I think that might be a more enticing offer than maybe re-signing Debo and just hoping that we just have another old roster and just hope that people don't get injured again.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go after it because, I understand why Dallas would re-sign Pickens and have CeeDee Lamb under contract. They're in their mid-20s, right? One's 25, one's 26 years old.
Yeah.
And they're both top 10, top 5-ish, and they're elite. Washington needs, and it feels Parcells would do this too when he came and took over roster. You fill it with older players, and then you draft, right? Parcells with the Cowboys first year makes the playoffs, and then they drop, but you have to refill the roster, and that's where Washington is right now. They have to reload, and can Dan Quinn do it because he was, when he was with the Falcons, able to kind of craft and mold that into a Super Bowl caliber team. They still should have beat the Patriots, right?
Yep.
But that they did it. But he still was. They drafted good talent like Grady Jarrett, all those guys on the defensive side that they got. Vic Beasley, he got to actually play well on the defense with him. So we've seen
Deion Jones was great for them.
exactly. We've seen what they've done, what he's done with the Dallas defense over the years. So can he start to remold, reshape the defense now? They've obviously taken a step back from last year, but with an infusion of young talent, and even at 7, or let's say they get up to 5, a couple of teams win the next couple of weeks, they get the 5th pick. Do you trade out and try and accumulate more assets, or you just say, listen, top 5 pick is top 5 talent. We're taking the best defender on the board and kind of go from there and grow from there.
You can call me when you get the safety. You said, "Oh, Bill Cortez Sr. said we're getting the safety." Bingo! I'm telling you.
I wanted Dallas to get him, but Dallas with the win this week and being able to, they're going to beat the Giants next week because the Giants might as well be.
They're going to give him Taylor's number.
Right.
They're going to give him Taylor's number.
Right. They're going to give out like Mary's Sister of the Poor a type a roster next week. So Dallas is basically locked in at 18th with their pick. And then they'll have the Packers, who at best is like 22, 23, best case scenario, unless
That's when Love comes back.
Exactly. Which I don't think they're not gonna play Love this week. There's not. I don't think they can go. Concussion protocol in the shoulder. Right. They play tonight.
Yeah.
So for you it's tomorrow morning. So let us know how tomorrow goes. But yeah, he's not going to play. I don't think he plays next week either because I think they're just locked into that low seed. Right. So we'll see. I hope they're knocked out quick because we need the picks. But I don't think Caleb Downs gets there. I think they're going to draft Warner. I think Dallas. Go ahead.
I think in a draft like this, so far, we're only dipped our toe in draft season. In a month or so, I'll have a lot more information. But it seems that there's not quite the high caliber players, especially at the high value positions, as there are in normal years. So last year was also kind of a down year, but look at 2 years ago, where there was the 6 quarterbacks taken. You had Malik Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison, and Adunze, and Bowers, and Joe Alt. You have all these like blue chip, amazing, high caliber players. So in a draft like that, I would probably say it's more enticing to maybe stick and pick. You can get yourself, what you believe is going to be your left tackle for the next decade. You take him. In a draft like this, I think there's a lot more questions. So I would be willing to trade back. And also, Washington, we need draft picks because we need young talent. I think what's kind of been our Achilles heel, I don't actually have a problem that much with this past offseason, whether it was trading for Debo, which I think we got value for a 5th round pick. Debo's worth a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Tunsil's been great. It sucks that we're going to have like a top or 2nd round pick that we've given to Houston. We can end up being a top 40 pick, but he is what we thought he is, or he would be. It's basically been the Lattimore trade, which we gave up like a 3rd and a 4th for him, which is not good.
Yeah.
And the fact that the 2024 draft class, we had 5 2nd and 3rd round picks, and we have like 1, maybe 2 starters out of that. We have Mikey Sanderson, who is a starter. He got burned by you guys a couple of times.
Blown up. Javonte knocked him over, man. He shuts him off like
matter of fact, he got hit so hard. My neck hurt. I was watching and I was like, oops, that hurt me. Yeah.
So Mikey, he's what I would say one of our starters. Cornerback is a volatile position. I think he had kind of a down year this year, but he still had 4 interceptions. So I'll take that as a down year.
Yeah.
He had Ben Sennett, who now that Zach Ertz is out, should be our starting tight end, and he's just not getting touches. He's not getting featured. I don't know why. Johnny Newton, who outside of this past game has not done much, but he exploded with 3 sacks this week. I don't know what happened.
You had some life to him, of course. Yeah, you had some life to him. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then we had Luke McCaffrey, who is exactly what you would expect for a 3rd round pick. He's one of the better kick returners in the league. He got injured against Seattle because everyone on Washington got injured. He's one of the better kick returners in the league, and he's a very solid number 4 receiver, can help you out on offense. And then Brandon Coleman who was our other 3rd round pick, was kind of a swing tackle, borderline starter. But you have to get more from 5 top 100 picks. It doesn't even include JD, who obviously is the 2nd overall pick.
Right.
But 5 top 100 picks you got to get. In my opinion, out of those 5, 3 have to be starters.
Absolutely.
Miss them 2, it's all okay. 3 have to be starters, and we have 1 I'll be nice and I'll say a swing tackle is the equivalent of a starter because offensive linemen get hurt. So I'll be nice and I'll say two. But you got to do better than that.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Listen, we have just like a minute or two left here. Um, you're going, and you're right about the draft. Let me go back and talk about the draft. 2026 draft, not great. 2027 draft will be loaded. Will be probably one of the best drafts in the last decade. So, anything that can, like the Rams got 2 first picks this year. Any team who can do that for the next draft in this draft season is going to set themselves up for success. Like Dallas got 2 first round picks. Right? It is what it is. But going forward, that's what it is. So I want to first say thank you for coming on with us. Thank you for staying up. I mean, it's not too late over there, right? It's 10 o'clock at night or 11. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
What else would you rather be doing?
Do you want to dedicate, we always shout out someone at the end of the episode. Anyone you want to shout out to while you're here?
I'll shout out my dad. Well, he's my father's friends with your brother and your son.
Ellie, right? Is he Ellie?
Yeah, Ellie. He connected us. And he's the reason why I'm a Redskins fan, so he'll be my shout out for the day.
No, he's a real one. That's what I've read up on. He's a real deal too. He does a lot of cool stuff.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah. What about you? Anybody?
My cousin Diane.
Yeah.
Shout out to my cousin Diane. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cousin Diane.
All right. And I'm gonna shout out my 3 boys, Zeus, Zion, and Atlas. So they're home, probably terrorizing my wife as they should. So that's it. So Eliana, thank you so much for being on. We'll post this as soon as we can. Cowboys and Coffee podcast. Subscribe, like, share to let everyone know we're here, baby.
I'm gonna continue to brag about you.
Go for it.
I'm gonna continue to brag. Awesome.
Hail.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Hail to the Commanders.
HTTR.